Niggas really weird, bro. They got the bro. When I get to snapping like doo-wah, really got the juice like Tupac. Shorty got a strong jaw, might chew rock. Got me coming out the blue like new cop. I've been rocking by myself, I'm through. Jump off the porch.
Ooh, welcome. Tell your mama. It's time for the wonderful water tower. And, you know the spiel, you know the deal. We're traveling deep into the podcast realm. Through the water tower. Of course, we're going to be doing normal tower things. Solving puzzles, fighting enemies. There are actually enemies in this one. I'm not crazy and schizophrenic like in the Dark Tower. Well, I am crazy and schizophrenic, but, you know, there are enemies this time, so... no worries about me misleading you about the fact that we will be fighting things. And today, I guess we'll just be talking about general water realm things, you know, drowning in our obsessions, getting lost in our own vices, thoughts, and activities. You know, the water realm is generally about just drowning and being lost in things, and I think, you know, it's not a bad thing. Just like most of these realms, they can be taken in good or bad ways. But today, we're really going to be delving deeper into the ways that obsession can change, morph us, you know, tell us to be better people, worse people, the stuff we can, you know, unintentionally or let me get my words right. First time I'm talking this morning. Unintentionally or intentionally, you know, betray our true, I don't know, I guess health, morals, soul, whatever you want. But you know, obsessions, guys, they are, at least for me, I don't know about most people. I suppose you could put your obsession in a person, but you know, for me, obsessing over general things or activities or projects is generally how I stay alive. You know, there would not be much for me to live for if we didn't have, you know, just retarded video games or whatever I, you know, decide to mull over and have as a muse for the next couple years, you know? But for me, I've had, you know, plenty of different kinds of things that I've sort of delved through and delved into throughout life and been like, yeah, this is me now. And then I sort of, you know, get into it, drop it, whatever. But two things that really have stayed along for the ride through all of it are music and video games. And I had a hard time sort of coming to terms with the fact that, you know, I am indeed a video gamer because... You know, when you put a title like that onto yourself, it makes you sort of have to identify with those also in the group. And the problem with gamers is that we are a very diverse group of people. And so you usually only hear about the really troglodyte, disgusting weirdos because there's just so many of us, and you know, a lot of us really don't care to post about every kind of activity or, you know, opinion we have online. We're too busy gaming. But because the vocal minority was essentially all I was fed as a child, as an adolescent, I kind of didn't like identifying with that. And then another thing that happened was in high school. I don't see. This is the funny thing. I don't know if these people that I talked to really remember this, but I remember this moment so explicitly and so vividly. I even remember the girl who said this to me. And it's not like, oh my gosh, the one that got away, I always think about her. I'm like, no, she was kind of a bitch. She was kind of ugly, but who really cares? You know, person aside, you know, quality of person aside, whether I like them or not, they said this thing to me and it really affected me. So I appreciate, you know, the value, the soulmate value that they brought to my life. And so essentially what they said was that, do you really think you're going to be playing video games, you know, like at 40 years old, 50 years old on your deathbed? And I was like, or, you know, it was something of that, on the lines of that, like, when are you gonna stop playing video games or something like that? And I just really I stopped and I thought, I'm like, I don't know. At that point, I was really embarrassed by the thought of me being like, an 80-year-old man with a controller in my hand. I was a little embarrassed. I'm not even gonna lie. So it's not like I explicitly said like, yeah, I'll play video games forever. I think I gave some sort of lame ass fence sitter, liberal conservative fucking answer. I don't know. But regardless of my reaction at the time, I think about that now and I just get so happy because I've really, really settled into the fact that, this is me, no matter how much I want to try to avoid it. I talked about this a little bit before, but I took that year off, essentially like a gap year. It was after I came back from California and moved back to Florida. And I just, it's not like I stopped working, because I fucking love working, and I don't think it's something that if you love doing, you should, willingly stop, unless there's obviously something in your way that's, making you take a momentary break. So, I didn't stop working because that's something that I actually, enjoy to do. But I did stop just trying so hard to escape a rat race that really doesn't care or have that much agency over you. So you see what I mean? I'm sort of disconnecting from the game, if you will. And the whole game that I was playing before was being obsessed with success and monetary value and providing things to people and like the attention currency and the quote unquote love I get, because I realize when you focus yourself on obtaining smiles and love and courtesy, first of all, you have to give a lot. And second of all, some of the authentic kindness that you give can be forced. And I know that kind of sounds like an oxymoron, like a forced authenticity. Yes. And how that happens is you just automatically get fatigued from doing it. Guys, you don't realize how easy being negative Nancy is. That's why I usually start off these podcasts with some negative complaining bullshit. Or, talking about topics that generally make me mad. Because coming in here and spewing vitriol is very easy. It'd be very hard to come on here and talk about how grateful I am, how wonderful the world is. It's not an easy thing to do for many, many people. It just causes fatigue. And oftentimes when you are spewing the vitriol, the negative, it relieves fatigue. It's a little bit of a catharsis, if you will. Not only for, obviously for the person doing it, but sometimes it can be for the viewer as well. So it's not only for, necessarily the person who's giving the lecture on how fucking terrible everything is. Sometimes just hearing this shit can feel good as well. Now, sometimes it can definitely feel bad, especially if you feel like it's aimed at you. If you were like a corpo borpo and I was talking about how terrible corporatism is, I'm sure that wouldn't feel good. But it's okay. You can cry in a Lamborghini. That's fine. But essentially, guys, betraying yourself for this quote-unquote authentic forced kindness, it's going to automatically lead to fatigue, resentment, and building in and all that, and the kindness that you receive back thusly won't feel as good if you were just regularly, naturally doing what came to you as a fucking human being, being grateful for those who show kindness back to you, coming in naturally with that beautiful, vibrant energy. But when it is not returned, when it is not reciprocated, golden rule type shit, you gotta kind of take a step back. And here's where a lot of people fail too, because when I say take a step back, I really mean take a step back. You don't need to correct people. No. You don't need to tell people off or teach anyone a lesson, because these kinds of things actually don't teach people lessons. They teach people lessons about us and how to treat us, but they're not going to take that information and then treat someone else in the world better. As a matter of fact, they might treat someone else in the world better if you shut the fuck up and move on, because they're not going to know. They're not going to know what they did wrong, so they'll question it. They'll question them own selves, and you can tell me whatever. You can tell me whatever story you want about life and, you know, the intellectual level of people, all you want, but I will continue to believe that everybody knows right from wrong. I refuse to believe that they don't. Because, you know, the evil people in the world, they just honestly choose. They choose to do it. You know, they choose to be evil, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, if you believe you can do the crime, or if you believe you you can do the time, you know, do the crime, or if you believe, you know, your life is just not worth it in its current state, and you have to do the crime to survive, you have to. You know, some people are fucking hungry. Some people are fucking angry. You know, some people feel like they've been done wrong. They've been done wrong, or they've been done unfairly. And I'm right there with that third group. That's kind of why I was obsessed with the success, to sort of get back at the system. But you know how you really get back at the system? You disengage and you start playing your own game. You start making your own system. And through this obsession, you're gonna find that a lot of things that are in this world really aren't for you. Really aren't for your inherent benefit. Not there to make you win. A lot of these puzzles that people put up for us to solve are, you know, they're just that. They're puzzles, you know. You don't get a loot box at the end. You don't get a magic prize at the you know, stop at the beanstalk. You know, there's really no explicit forward path to, I don't know, I guess ungatekeep yourself. And that's why nepotism is such a big thing nowadays, because there's a lack of pathways now. And it's kind of the same with dating. I really think dating is kind of like a job, essentially, and it always really was, you know, sort of like applications. And everybody knows this. It's essentially your requirements don't matter for whatever job you're working. Especially me, I am a very quick learner. I was diagnosed with Asperger's early on. I'm not sure if I have autism or not. I don't know. All I know is I follow directions very well, and I'm a weirdo, so usually when people meet me, they're like, something's off about this guy. I don't know what. And then I mention some sort of autistic thing that I have, and they're like, oh, yes, I knew he was autistic. Bro, I swear to God, man. The lead crisis that happened, you know, the CP30, fucking, Jesus Christ, it fucked us all up. I feel like everybody has this retarded autistic frame set automatically that we automatically reject because everybody's afraid to be different, and not even like different, just following their own soul. Everyone is convinced that their soul has no merit. And I say, whatever you've been obsessed with your whole fucking life is probably has something to do with your soul. I don't care if it's a degenerate thing. I don't care if it's a drug or if it's something stupidly healthy, like you've been obsessed with pull-ups or working out or whatever. It doesn't have to be something you're good or bad at, but more people need to find what passionately interests them, and also not be afraid to change or alter your passion and interest. The evolution of obsession is generally what's going to, you know, bring you to that next level. And of course, all the puzzles in life may not have inherent rewards when you beat them, but you know, the reward for solving the puzzle is the activity, you know, the fun of getting to that solution for people. Yeah, but I would say put a gracious amount of stock into that, you know, a gracious amount, because we can indeed get lost in other people's sauce, and it's okay to do that if you explicitly know, understand, You know, that their sauce is pliable to change. You know, if they made a ranch sauce and you've been constantly dipping it in there, just know it's not your sauce. So that when they, you know, they put a little habanero and make it a spicy ranch, you don't get your panties in a bunch. Because their sauce isn't to your liking anymore. He's like, I fixed the sauce for you. I did all this stuff for the sauce for you. And now your sauce is different. How dare you? Just remember, it's not your sauce. And that's the problem with a lot of people. I was treating, you know, a lot of these jobs like they were my business. You know, like I would run my own business. And that's just not fair to... You know, people who had to go out and build this shit out from the ground up, you know? They have an adherence to what they want, what they feel is efficient, what they feel is gonna grow to a sort of fabulous mindset, you know? And I think that's generally why I'm afraid to really build a partnership with people and things like that. Because, you know, I have my own ideas for how to make a perfect sauce, how to make a perfect friendship, how to make a perfect relationship, and all this shit. I generally think my ideas, though, are very unpopular. And you know the problem with that? I don't know if it's a pride thing with me or with other people or whatever, but, you know, it's got to be solved because this is super weird. But, yeah, I value partnerships. But at the same time, I feel like... And this is just a me. I'm not trying to call anyone out that I know or don't know. But just as a me thing, as an slightly autistic, obsessed, Asperger's guy who hates people and himself and is a hypocrite, I always feel whenever I enter a partnership with someone that I do way more. Or I feel that they don't notice how much I do. Because, like, who wants to talk about, oh yeah, I did this, and I did this, and then I did this, and then I feel so disgusting when I do that. I feel so, like, just like a fraud when I do that. Even if the things I did are real things. I don't want to fucking list out what I did for you. Like, what the fuck is this? High school? I gotta show my math work or some bullshit? That's fucking retarded. That seems stupid. That seems, you know, just so unnecessary to me. So, on top of this, whenever I enter a partnership, I feel like I do more, and I feel like nobody notices. Like, on top of that. You know, so, I feel like, obviously, more communication is needed. That's why I decided to open up a little podcast realm for me to really listen to myself and the way I conversate, because there's gotta be something in there that's just disconnecting from people. You know, myself included, because if it were something I noticed and could solve, it probably wouldn't be something I'm talking about now. But yeah, there's an obvious power indifference there. And then, you know, a lot of people would say, well, then who cares? You know, just find a pet relationship that you like, you know? Find someone that you can just literally command around and give all your love to, and then they'll reciprocate, and then you can take care of them. Well, yeah, of course, but you know, I'm broke as shit, guys. There is, like, no fucking way I can provide for anyone. I can barely provide for myself. And although the work from home is taken off, although, you know, things are moving, the patience is hard, you know, and I'm not going to say like I'm, you know, going to get impatient and I'm going to quit everything, you know. I feel like I'm already there. I feel like I've already quit everything. But yeah, there comes a point where motherfuckers really get tired of waiting, and I know that is the point where, obviously things start to change. But, God, I feel like I've been at that point for a minute. And, obviously, as we know, the chase is usually what destroys most attractive people. I don't know if you guys can tell by my wonderful, explicit voice. I am a very attractive person. You know, I've never had true trouble with women, you know, but it's just crazy. It's like, even the guys like me, we can't get away from obsessing over our failures or a porn, the poontang, you know, the drugs, the whatever. No guy can escape the whims of this retarded distraction economy. And that's all it's there for. You know, it's not there to explicitly destroy you. It's there to just, you know, distract you from the truth. And the truth is... the obsessions and the locking in will set you free, and all these problems, all these puzzles to solve that are not even really your own, They're not there to benefit you. They're there to get you off of the track so that you don't lock in, you don't say fuck you to everything else, and do your own thing. You know, Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm gonna write my own story. I'm gonna do my own thing. They don't want you to do that shit. You know, they want you in these canon events, you know, over here in a corporation applying to 30,000 different jobs, you know, you getting cheated on by your girlfriend, you know, for 5 years by some random Chad at the gym. They want you in these canon events here, you know, like this is the way the world is supposed to be. But there are an infinite ways to succeed, and honestly, all you really have to do is decide where your success is, you know, in the first place. You know, you even have to go do anything. You know, you can literally do nothing and be like, you know what, my success is right here. And then, you know, guess what? You've won. You have won. Game completed. And boy, do I love games like that, you know? But as I've mentioned a lot of times before, obsessions are helpful to me, and I feel like a lot of other guys, because I like working. It's just when you work for other people and you notice how efficient you are, and nobody likes to tell you, hey man, you're an invaluable asset. If you left here, we would probably fail a lot more than we are right now. Nobody wants to tell you that shit. Explicitly, privately, or otherwise. And because of that, you can really get into your own head about, you know, your own self-worth, your own value as a person, you know, your own stake as a contributor to this world. Because as much as I hate to admit it, I really do want to contribute something nice to this world. As much as I hate all the people, as much as I love being a hypocrite and hating myself and, you know, complaining about the patriarchy and the government and feminism, I want to contribute something. You know, it's kind of like when you have a really bad video game and you just criticize the fuck out of it and you're like, this is shit, this is shit, this is shit, this is shit. And it's like, but why though? Why are you criticizing it in the first place? It's because I love it. It's because I have love there. It's because I care about it. And I care about the world. I do. I live in it. I think if you want to grow more love for the world, step outside more. Step outside more. That really has brought me to terms with, you know, just being here in general. Of course, as soon as I step back inside, it all comes back and I'm like, oh God, I forgot the world is terrible. Because what the fuck is going on with the news cycle right now? I feel like I really have to tap out. With what is going on, because it's actually blowing my mind. It's like I don't even feel like this shit is real, and I'm very glad I have a platform to talk about it now, because holy shit, it's just some crazy shit that's going on to me with everything with the feminism, the T-app, and now we're in August, so you know we have to do IDs to log into anything. You know, Spotify, YouTube, fucking Reddit, you know. Like, what are we doing here, guys? And I'm gonna be honest, I have like negative things to hide. I honestly hope everybody finds out about my horrible fetishes, you know? I don't care, you know? I want to stop, you know? I hope that this internet shit pops off and we can just delete porn, but I know that's not gonna happen. It makes too much fucking money. Why would we destroy that? It makes too much fucking money. So, they're not gonna destroy it. They're just spying on us more, which is fucking fantastic, right? You know, the AI platforms didn't have enough ways to scrape our data, did they? You know, it just was not good enough for them. Was not good enough for them. And there are ways we can fight back, but honestly, I don't mean to be doomer boomer guy, but I feel like this was coming for a long time, guys. The whole what do you call it? The ID checking or the internet policing. Because when this shit happened in 2020, people really didn't fight back against it. They really like people acted like they cared about the whole COVID conspiracies and misinformation and, you know, the government blocking some messages from people. Didn't really fucking care. The normie bormies didn't fucking care, I'll tell you that. And as someone who worked through COVID, and was out there in public talking to people, you know, witnessing what the people were saying about it, people were spreading the misinformation more. Way more, especially the crazy shit, than the actual quote-unquote, you know, governmental truths that were being spread on top of it. So, if you're worried about free speech, it's not going anywhere, is what I want to tell you there, if that's what you're worried about. I don't think that is what you're worried about, though. I think all you dumb, troglodyte, stupid motherfuckers are just worried that anybody cares about what you do online. And here's a newsflash, motherfucker. They don't. If they cared, they would have you in cuffs right now, already. There, you know what I'm saying? Like all the explicit shit that is on, you know, and that adults view, like, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. And if you're not, you're not. You know, who cares? The government doesn't have enough room in these jails anyway, so maybe we'll go over capacity. And you know, the jail will just explode from too many people being in there. That'll be great, right? But internet privacy has been over for forever. We've been joking about the whole FBI agent in your phone, but it's real, guys. You know, there is no incognito tab on YouTube. Your employer knows, your ISP knows, and of course, your government officials know. And that's essentially all who cares. Your friends don't care. You know, your mom doesn't care. Your dad doesn't care. Nobody fucking cares. But and in fact, matter of fact, these government officials don't even care either. It's just for advertisements. It's just for surveillance. You know, person to person, they don't care, but it's going to make them a lot more money. It's going to allow them to craft their wonderful little narrative. But, you know, guys, like I said, the narrative doesn't fucking matter. You dumb troglodyte motherfuckers are going to spread whatever you're going to fucking spread. And people like me are going to, you know, delve deeper to find the truth if they want to find the truth. It's just how it's going to be. It's just how it always has been. You know, ain't nothing explicitly wrong with that. I feel like this is one of the last bastions for a sort of recipe like that. But I'd say obsessing over something like this, over the negative shit like this, of course, it's meant to bring anguish. It's meant to bring vitriol. It's meant to radicalize you over to one side or the other side. Even though this isn't even a fucking side issue. This is indeed, I'd say a power issue. You know, a culture issue. Because a lot of people just don't know about this internet shit. Still, they don't understand. They think this whole it's for the kids bullshit is really, you know, what it's about. Because, of course, we still have people who like to take things at face value. You know? It's not inherently a bad thing. There has to be some believers. But, yeah, that lead poisoning thing really fucked up our general critical thinking, our general ability to see something that don't sound expressly right, and, challenge it a little bit. Challenge it slightly. And I feel like that ability is already gone. So everybody worried about your precious narrative being flipped, like it's already happened, and it will continue to happen. Is it okay? No, I don't agree with it. You know, I wish people would think a little bit more about what they're believing online, but it is what it is. So depressing. You hear that phrase more and more from many guys, and I feel like that's what brings us to the sewer slide, you know, to end it all. Because Jesus fucking Christ, man, none of us feel like we have the hope. None of us see it in our regular lives. I can attest to that. I am outside in these streets every fucking day, and all I see is people blinded to their own incompetence, to their own failures. You know, they just want to be blind. They just want to be distracted. They don't want to think about shit. And I am right there with you. I don't like to think about shit. You think it's fun? You think this is fun? This gaming? Jesus Christ. You know, I think a lot. I think a lot, you know? And of course, the neurosis doesn't really bring you to wonderful, happy, sunshine, rainbow places. You know, if it did, I feel like I probably have a little bit different style of commentary here. But with more understanding comes more power, more options, and more clarity. That's what we're really going for. You know, I'm not really worried about understanding the world, but I am worried about understanding myself. And with that, we're kind of done with the Dark Tower. The Dark Tower. Jesus Christ, where am I? Where am I? The Water Tower. You know, the Dark Water Tower. At the end here, you have little fishing quests. So we need the little marine. I maxed out my bag, so I'm gonna go get that bag, you know, a little less fishy. I'm gonna come back in and find this marine here. And then we'll fight the boss. I hope you guys enjoyed the nice little romp through the water tower. I really do like the puzzles, so, you know, you just have to do water temple style shit. You gotta run all the water to the main part, and then a little switching puzzle. It's very fun. So we have our marine, and put it in this little fish bowl, and then we'll go Guardian time. I do like this cutscene too. This is another great cutscene and great boss. Couple little bosses here. Once again, this is version 3, so we are getting real here. The second form is actually pretty hard. But we do beat them both fairly handily, fairly easily. Little story recap or story, what do you call it? I don't know, checkpoint, status report. We'll call it a report. I am at the end of version 3 on Caillou's file, so I think I'll probably do version 4 on Caillou and just record it there. Because I haven't actually beat version 3. But Nadraga actually kind of kicks my ass a little bit right now. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm using my Death Master, my level 114 Death Master, to get him, along with just a random team. And he actually kind of fucks. So I'm not saying we're gonna have trouble with him in this playthrough, because I have my heal slime. But I kind of wanted to use Shammy for the rest of this and see if I can, you know, have Shammy do... this cutscene is so fucking good. I see how Shammy do Nadraga in this one and see if we can grind him up enough, because, you know, we like to have a plethora of healers. I believe the next healer that I'm going to do is get that Chimera from the casino. And we're going to do a little... healer experiment with him as well, and then we'll have all of our wonderful healers. Although Heal Slime is kind of just going to carry us through the whole game whenever we have a hard boss. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not even going to lie. He's just the best healer probably ever in the history of time and space and tacos. So, of course, I didn't kill the Guardian because, you know, I don't mean to, you know, downplay this guy's strength, but although he looks really cool, although he tries really hard, my dude, you are not the one. You are not the one. And you have to remember, he could be you. No matter how hard you obsess over something, no matter how deep you've drowned in the water, Brian, my guy, you gotta be okay with the fact that you may be a Tobias. You may fucking suck, and you may never not fucking suck. And a lot of people aren't okay with that. They're like, oh, but I can, especially nowadays, because we're all like elevatedly stupid. Like I said, you know, the experiment to rapidly decrease the IQ of Americans succeeded. So we're all really fucking dumb. So nobody can grasp the concept that one day you may never be not dumb. Very sad, but true. And yeah, I think in general, we gotta be okay with the level we're at. You know, I don't care if you're fat or you're ugly or you're whatever, man. the fact that we're all crashing out and there's such a huge hive mind right now is because nobody's comfortable in their own skin. Everybody looks at someone else and is like, yep, I'm doing that. I'm being that. You know, they have everything I want, so, you know, I'm not even going to try and think about how their life relates to mine at the moment. I just want theirs. I don't want to think about how they worked to get it. I don't want to think about how much they obsessed over it before it came to them. I don't think about any of that shit. I just want it. I just want it. I just want it. You know, I just want all that good shit that they got. You know, maybe not the full scope of everything. Maybe just the good parts. Maybe just the pizza. Fuck the crust. Ain't that a thing? Ain't that a thing? You know, I hope whoever's watching this, I hope you are a crust eater. The crust, in my opinion, usually, look, if you have a good pizza, the crust is usually the best part of the pizza. And maybe this is just my weirdo ass for loving bread. You know? But, shit, what can I say? I love bread. I love bread. I love everything about bread. And I love the fact that it makes you fat. I love the fact that it's closer to, you know, a word that means brain. You know, I love the fact that, you know, you say it in Japanese and then it's a Dragon Ball character. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. You know, who does not like bread? So I hope you are, my friend, a crust pizza eater. Based crushed pizza eaters apply only. You know, that's one thing that you can get obsessed over. Food in general. I know people have some strong opinions on food. You know my opinion on food? Boneless wings all the day, all the way. Boneless wings only. And maybe that's because I like to play this game like forever and never stop unless I'm sleeping or eating. And as a matter of fact, I don't even stop when I'm eating, necessarily, because, you know, like I said, let's go back to the boneless wings. You get boneless wings, you get a fork, you know what I'm saying? You just stab it, you know, stab your fries too. It's perfect, you know, and I can't do that with the stupid fucking chicken wings. Also, they just taste better. And I don't like bones. You know, I got enough boners. I pop boners like fucking 8 times a day. You think I want bones to fucking put in my mouth? I don't. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. And in general, I think just food with an obstacle is just not worth it. Like, I don't like crabs. I'm impartial to shrimp, but I'd rather the shrimp peeled. You know, corn on the cob. Just peel it off the fucking cob, man. You know, I just want to eat it. I don't want to work while I'm eating it. Like, I don't want an activity to do while I'm eating it. And I think that's because I don't really eat without watching things. Like, I think all of us based YouTube watchers are fucked in that way. Because it used to be in front of the TV, but now we have eating in front of YouTube. So now I really never don't sit in front of YouTube in my house. And I'm realizing that's kind of a problem because I'm definitely getting YouTube fatigue. And this is not like black fatigue kind of thing, you know, like, oh my God, I'm so tired of the racist YouTubers. No, it's actual fatigue. It's actual fatigue. And some of this black fatigue shit is actual just racism. You know, it's just no. And I am the least racist motherfucker because I think I've mentioned this before, but the whole, you know, you can't be racist against white people shit is trash, you know. I was maybe a little bit with the Black Lives Matter movement at first. You know, it's not like I jumped in there, didn't any protest, but, you know, back when they were doing the whole black screen thing on Instagram, I was kind of with some parts of it there, but then they just lost the plot so quickly. So fucking quickly. It wasn't even like modest or gradual. It was just like we immediately lost the plot. You know, it's kind of like when Childish Gambino made that "Stay Woke" song, and I was like, yeah, stay woke, and then a couple weeks later, I was like, guys, I don't want to be woke anymore. Guys, I'm sorry, I'm not staying woke anymore. I lied. It's just not what I want to be. Yeah, I think if you really delve into it, into any of the discrimination on the planet Earth, you know, whether it be with, you know, the gays, the trans, the blacks, any kind of discrimination, we just want to be treated like regular people, not even like, you know, white people, like we have elevated privilege, but just, you know, regular citizens. You can treat white people amazing still. I don't fucking care. But now they're just treating white people worse, and I feel bad now because I feel like it's my fault, and now I'm starting to feel like the crazy, empathetic white girls. It's like, I'm sorry, white people. This is not your fault, you know. And it's crazy how the shift is so insane, and we have to explicitly say the double standard now out loud. You know, obviously it's like, I mean, you should know what the double standard is, but people are ignoring it. Like, oh no, there's no double standard. You can't have a double standard. There is a double standard. There's a huge double standard, and it's the corporate. You know, it's actually the triple threat. It's the triple threat. You know. Just like these dolphins, you know? The triple threats of the government, the corporations, and the good old feminism movement. You know, I'm sorry, girls, I had to throw you under the bus again. But you fucking established the coddled generation for us. The corporations established the horrible school systems for us. And then the government just ebbed it all on. You know, it's like, we've been racist the whole time. We're just gonna keep doing it. The government's like, well, we're maintaining status quo. Hey, we're the realest of them all, man. We never changed. Fucking ridiculous, man. You see, this is where obsession takes you. It takes you to weird places, and you want to go to the weird places. You just have to take stock of it and truly understand the world ain't black and white. It's built on, you know, the structure of gray areas. That's how people have gotten so far onto this evil plane. Because they've just walked on the gray lines. You can go a lot of places, man. I know it. If you've ever worked in a toxic work culture that says everybody is love and friends and companionship and we're a family, you know it's all a gray area. You know it. You've probably been betrayed by that gray area. You've probably been sustained and fulfilled by that gray area. But it always is a gray area when you're in a country or a place or anywhere that says love is at the forefront. Because how can you really quantify something like that, you know? How can you really do things like that in the capitalistic society where it's like every man for himself, essentially? Being obsessed with the productivity, the power, the general work of providing value to people. We'll have you dancing the gray areas. We'll have you, you know, being taken advantage of if you don't advocate for your rights and your needs. And, of course, we'll have you blinded in advocating for the bullshit that really doesn't fucking serve you. Because you're gonna get all this empathy because, oh my gosh, everyone's been so good to me. And it doesn't matter how much work I've done for them, you know? We just have to give. And, yeah, man, I'd say it's gonna feel really fucking weird, really fucking awkward to give to something that you're not obsessed with, something that you don't feel like if you weren't given anything back for, and you probably won't be given anything back for it, you would still do it. And most of this retail stuff, yeah, I would still do it. I love customer service. I like smiling at people and giving smiles back. I like helping people. I like sustaining a business. I like all that shit. But you know, at a certain point, you gotta realize when what you're doing is way better than what these motherfuckers deserve, you know? That's not a mean thing. I'm just saying when you got a gemstone, and, you know, you sit it right next to your toilet, and you're like, oh no, the gemstone fell in the toilet, let me take it out, and you don't even wipe it off, you just set it back there right next to the toilet. Don't be surprised when that gemstone suddenly starts getting rusty, or suddenly gets flushed down there, or, you know, whatever the fuck happens to it, you know? And that's not even being conceited. That's just me knowing in these 29 years of life I have not stopped working, so how can I not be conceited on, you know, the fact that my efficiency is good? You know, I get people from other amazing Dragon Quest, you know, content channels, like, telling me, hey man, you're doing good. You're blasting, you're cruising. You know, you have to take stock of that, and you have to realize where you are. Stop downplaying yourself. Stop beating up yourself over, you know, some invisible achievement that you think you should have because you're once again comparing to everybody else instead of, you know, Water Realm, drown in it, obsess. I'm so obsessed with my own story that I don't even know where other people are. That's really where it should be, and that's where I wish it was. But social media kind of fucked us in that way, man. I really had to jump off the Instagram train because of that. Because I really just used it for music and art, and that was weird to people. Why? That's so like what? And then a couple years later, I found out motherfuckers were using that as a dating app. Instagram, a dating app. Y'all are sending DMs to what? To who? To do what? I'm just not with it, man. I'm just not with it. And it's the whole thing about this collaborative attraction economy. I feel weird when, a girl randomly messages me, from some other girl who told her that, I was cool or we're connected in a way or whatever. I feel fucking weird about that. I feel awkward about it. I feel awkward even when someone randomly hits me up after they saw a last post that I made a couple days ago. And they're like, oh yeah, I relate to this or whatever. I'm like, no. Comment on the post and leave me the fuck alone. I feel like even if I know you in real life, man, it's a parasocial relationship now. I cannot hang around anyone. Because it's just the neurosis that gets to me, man, and the fact that I just want a partnership. I just want a partnership. I don't want actual friends because when you get friends, all they want to do is fucking waste your time, man. And surely that's what we need. I feel like I have way too much time on my hands. That's why I love to work. Because what the fuck else am I gonna do? Sit here and kill myself, beat my dick all day long? No. Let me distract myself with efficiency and hopefully help someone through, whatever bullshit they gotta do so they can distract themselves with efficiency. Whatever, Whatever. Let me contribute. Please let me contribute. But yeah, you get too deep, too deep into your own obsessions and your wills, then you get this crazy amount of efficiency. And like I said, a partnership just isn't possible because you can't have a partnership when there's a when there's a power imbalance between someone's emotional level, someone's power level, someone's effort level. Eventually someone's got to swallow their pride and be like, hey man, you're doing more than me. You got to tell me how to do as much as you, or you got to just take care of me and I'll try the hardest, but tell me where I need to go. You have to have humility in that way, and nobody wants that. And I honestly don't want to command people around or force you to do things or have a pet. I don't want that. So I'm not going to force anybody under my will. I hate force. I hate interacting that way. And sadly, I'm attracted to the race that only responds to force from my race. Stereotypically, the cute white girl type. They're generally, at least nowadays, from my experience, not going to fall in love with the kind, soulful, spiritual, lyrical, miracle black guy. They're going to take advantage of that idiot, go to their big black bull who doesn't give a fuck about them and sells drugs. And go back to the spiritual simp when they're all done and dried out at 28 or 29. And that seems just a little gross to me. I feel like most guys, when hearing about other partners or anything like that, it feels nasty. It feels nasty. Like, oh my goodness, I don't want to know about that. And sadly, it's just the way of the world. I wish it wasn't like this, but you wanted freedom. You wanted autonomy. So that's what it is. It's what it is. And we just have to deal with the way the world is now, man. It's not a terrible thing. I honestly, I think there's a lot of good things about the fact that there are just more freedoms for, everyone to do what they need to do. Now, I have the agency to stay in the tutorial as long as I want and figure out what the fuck to do for me and people like me. Because although I think my life is already fucked beyond repair, I don't think the second half is really gonna save this one. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna try. That doesn't mean I'm not going to set up the parameters so that the next generation, Gen Z, you're already fucked, I'm sorry. But that the next generation knows what the hell to do when they're met with these parameters. Because goddamn, I could have been worse. It could have certainly been worse. But I had some bad parameters growing up, I'll tell you that. Treasure where I am, though. Treasure where I came to. Treasure my moment right now. Beautiful, beautiful mornings, huh? Yeah. And in real life, reality, that is all you have to do. You have to treasure yourself, your moments, your power, you know. And if you do that, you'll want to work more. You'll want to be obsessed with yourself. If you just treasure yourself, if you're like, whoa, I am the prize, man. Sadly, girls are born with that and guys are not. So this is why we're in a huge deficit, you know. And because of that as well, you know, classes aren't teaching you to fucking care about yourself, man. Sad but true. Sad but true. Classes will not tell you that. And I'm talking about school. I'm talking about like high school now. That your rebellious, weirdo, annoying, you know, aggressive nature is natural and good for you, and how you actually develop your confidence. You know, you have to actively work against the school system. I feel like the only reason why I went to college with a good attitude and a good, you know, perspective and on my own confidence is because I was such a troublemaker. It's because I dual enrolled and hardly went to class in my senior year. It's because I was routinely in and out of, what the fuck did they call that? The AV room? The JV, whatever the fuck the disciplinary room was in high school. I don't fucking know what that shit is. But because I wasn't this perfectly wonderful good egg that everybody loved, I think that not only, you know, not set me up for success, but set me up for doing my own thing, going my own way. Spider-Man the way home. I'm gonna do my own thing type shit, you know? It sets you up for that if you are a naturally rebellious kid. And if you're not, then you're going to get lied to, like, you know, kind of like I was with the whole movement, Obama administration, the Black Lives Matter, and all this shit. You know, we're led astray by people who have our best intentions but have no idea what our life is like. No idea. No idea. And, you know, empathy is not a bad thing. But weaponized empathy is, well, a weapon. We have to remember, guys, although anyone can save us, only one person can permanently save us, and that's you. That's yourself, you know? We are our eternal keeper. Our one and only eternal keeper, you know? Because as much as you may love to think people are going to be there for your whole life, mom, dad, brother, grandma, sister, lover, are going to leave one day. You know, they don't usually put the bodies in the holes in the ground together. They don't usually do that. They may do it for you if you have unprecedented circumstances. But we all generally die alone. Generally. It's just a statement, you know, take it as a good or a bad thing. But I want you to critically think about that. The next time that you go crazy obsessing over someone else. That's why I generally like to obsess over things. Because, you know, these people, not to say that nobody deserves it. Not to say that nobody actually wants your effort. But you deserve the right to put your effort where you actually want it. So, you know, notice things. Notice what's being reciprocated. Because as much as you may believe, like, I don't need anything else. I don't need anything for being a man. You know, I don't, what kind of bullshit is that? I need something to give my love? What are you, a fucking loser? Don't simp yourself out, dog. The resentment will build. Everybody has a limit. Just like everybody has a limit for anger, for sadness. You have a limit for how much bullshit you can take and love you can give until it starts leaking out somewhere else. And you don't have to crash out to sort of let someone know that you need a hand. You need help. Because that's all it is, guys. We just need a little help. You know, whatever partnership, relationship we're in, we just need a little help. You know, everybody does. Except for me on this playthrough. Because we are solo all the fucking way. Guys, subscribe. We're ready to go to the next realm, to the Storm Realm. Yeah, I went ahead and spoiled it. Because I'm very excited about this realm. This water realm was all about obsession and drowning in your vices, your hobbies, your goals, whatever. But the Storm Realm, I'll just give a little spoiler for this one. Oh my goodness, this is a good one. This is a good one. The Storm Realm, what I've related this to, is arguing online. The Storm is basically the war realm, and you'll see how this relates very closely in the next episode or the next part. It's gonna be so fucking good. 3.5 is where the story really takes off. It has some crazy twists. We learn about the evil will and the true nature of the evil will. I also really like the environment. I'd say 3.4 and 3.5, they really ramp up with how good these environments start looking and how creative they are. And I just feel like in RPGs in general, the Storm Realm kind of, you know, I guess aesthetic really isn't used a lot. As you can probably tell, it's like a lightning kind of place, but it's sort of like a flying lightning island. It's very like dead leaves, dead grass kind of things. There's like poison everywhere, poison mist and whatnot. And a lot of RPGs kind of stray away from using the destroyed town gimmick. But they do it in this game. And they have sort of like a refugee town system that I think is very cool, very well designed too. I like vertical scaling residential areas. So I hope we all enjoy that. This game is now getting very, very good. The playthrough is going well. I think people are enjoying it. I know I'm enjoying it. I went back and watched Jesus Christ, this is so funny. I went back and watched the Puku episode from like version 1. And man, oh man, have we like come a long way from using like OBS and Bandicam and all this bullshit, man. So really appreciate everyone who watches, everyone who cares about, you know, I don't know, life in general. And that's really all you have to do. You just have to care. I don't care if, you know, you're doing evil things, if you're doing quote unquote good things. In my book, you just have to care. You just have to care, man. And a lot of people love to act like they do. I don't know if there's any real way to truly tell, to be conscientious and hold people accountable to their care levels besides just looking at actions. I think that's just the main thing, guys. You just have to look at the way that people not only treat you, but treat the people around you. Look at the way they talk about other people, you know? And it's when you do this, it's for me at least, it's fairly easy to see the people who care about, you know, positively affecting other people. You know, it's clear to see the people who care about negatively affecting other people, and then it's clear to see the people who just don't care at all. Like, I don't care if I positively, I don't care if I negatively, I'm just kind of saying shit. I'm just kind of moving through. And I feel like that last one is the most dangerous. Truly, truly. It's the most dangerous because honestly, you can kind of tell when someone doesn't have your general interest out. But when they don't care, guys, when they don't care, that is a whole nother level of scary. They could be hurting you and they don't even know it. They don't even care to recognize it. Crazy shit, man. Crazy shit. But that's just the result of this world. You realize we are so distracted. We have so many quote-unquote friends, so many quote-unquote followers, that how could we care about all of them? Right? It's not inherently like, it's not about you like that, man. It's not like they're trying to, you know, just destroy you specifically. It's just, you got to know who's really there for you and listen to them. You don't have to listen to the people that don't care. Like, why would you? But of course, they're going to tell you things. Everybody is. So everybody feels like they have something. But you have yourself. Subscribe to yourself.
When I get to snapping like doo-wah, really got the juice like Tupac. Shorty got a strong jaw, might chew rock. Got me coming out the groove like new cop. I've been rocking by myself, I'm through. Jump off the porch, I flew. Didn't say I'm too sick, I juice. Stop playing on me.